Welcome back to another weekly Dragon Ball Super review. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about episode 112. I thought that this was a really well executed episode. You know, I want to say that Super has quietly had like well, I guess not quietly because it was a special and it was pretty popular, but you know, they've had a really consistent run the last like 4 or 5 weeks or so, in my opinion. At least definitely since the special of episodes. I thought that the one last week was awesome. I thought this one was really good too. And can I just say that I love Vegeta? I've been saying it forever. Like, he's not my favorite character. He never will be. That honor goes to Krillin because Krillin it, and you know, Gohan because Gohan's always been my favorite. But either way, I think that Vegeta has just been such a good character throughout Super, man. It's just, they continue to build on that, and we'll talk about that in a minute because I also love the way that CABBA was portrayed in this episode too. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about it. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the episode, whether you liked it or didn't. I'm not going to do a full recap like sometimes I do. Overall, the episode was just CABBA fighting human boulder jutsu, Naruto reference, but you know, in all seriousness, it was CABBA fighting against MONNA from Universe 4, Kitela's universe. So long story short, he basically, you know, does the thing. He gets his butt kicked for a while and then ascends in the middle of the fight to Super Saiyan 2. And it was interesting because in the middle of that, she has him eliminated, but Vegeta saves him at the last second. And like only Vegeta can, he beats him up a bit. You know, he does not handle him with care, as I guess you probably would want to in that scenario, but Vegeta has his own way of doing things and mentoring, so that's fine. That's how he is. That's what he did with Trunks too, and Trunks came back. He beat up on Trunks, you know, to teach him a lesson, but that's just Vegeta's way, so I'm not going to really talk about that. But what he does is he kind of beats up on CABBA a little bit, and he's like, hey, are you still going to keep your promise? He's like, what promise? And they go all the way back to the Universe 6 tournament, and he's like, hey, that promise to let me go to planet Sadala with you. And I was like, wow, they may actually pay that idea off. There are so many times in this show where they bring up ideas and, you know, concepts and just never pay them off, never actually do them. But they may actually do that one. And I still think it's kind of unlikely. It just depends on how long the show goes. But man, would it be cool. And this episode is basically Vegeta's pride in being a Saiyan, and of course CABBA's pride as a Saiyan as well. And it was interesting to see the way that CABBA kind of was like, hey, you two are actually our aces now. You know, Hit's gone. You guys are a secret weapon, CABBA, or excuse me, Kale and Caulifla. So he told them to run away to kind of recover their power. And this whole spontaneous recovering thing that's going on, I guess it really wasn't really a factor in Dragon Ball Z, so I kind of get like the feeling that that wasn't a thing. But it sort of was. You know, they kind of had to sit out of the battle for a while, and then also you realize how slow, you know, the fighting is going. I just keep thinking about SS3 Goku versus Kid Buu. He just simply couldn't power all the way up, no matter what he did. No matter how long Vegeta gave him like to stall out, he just couldn't do it. And you know, Caulifla comes in at the end of the episode like, hey, I've got all my power back. And I'm like, oh, well, to be fair, you guys have been hiding for like 30 minutes. So not really 30 minutes, but still, it's just a really weird thing that was semi-retcon, but not necessarily. It's really nitpicky though. I don't really actually care though, so it is what it is. I did like the way that, you know, CABBA jumped in and tried to protect them, and you know, they were against it at first, but Kale was actually the voice of reason in this. She had some different personality lines in this because most of the time she's just like, oh yes, we'll do this, we'll do that. But she kind of was like, oh, because Caulifla had a fun line in there where she was like, oh, well, after seeing Goku and Jiren, I know I can get so much stronger. And she's like, oh, you're totally like overconfident now. It's like, oh, she just unironically said that. And that was pretty interesting in my opinion. It's really minor, but it's like coming off from the character that just would only say the same things or want to protect Caulifla, which that hasn't changed, but she's doing different things. So hopefully we'll see more personality from Kale as opposed to just the whiny character that she was. You know, last time we saw her, we'll get to see her a little bit more next week. So anyways, as far as CABBA goes, man unlocked Super Saiyan 2. I don't actually have a problem with this because of the way that it was done. I don't have a problem with it because of the way it was done, because a lot of people have a problem with the way that Kale, or excuse me, not Kale, Caulifla ascended to SS2 just randomly whenever, like, you know, they were first introduced. She just randomly got Super Saiyan and then SS2 due to the tingle thing, and then, like, you know, Kale starts rampaging and she goes Super Saiyan 2, I guess, out of necessity to stop her. So it is what it is, but CABBA actually sitting there getting beat up. He's sitting there getting provoked That's the most important thing. MONNA's sitting there like, hey, I'm going to beat your master. He's a coward. And, you know, he's literally getting provoked. And I couldn't help but remember Gohan's SS2 transformation as a kid. It was kind of like the same groundwork, right? Because Cell was doing his best to provoke Gohan into it. And of course, the situation was a bit different, but the outcome was the same. And he's literally getting provoked, so I don't actually have a problem with that. And, you know, I feel like it was well, you know, past the time that he should have achieved that. I feel like he should have been the first one to get it from that universe. You know, being that he was the first Saiyan that we saw, he was the first one to go Super Saiyan 2 among all the Saiyans that we've seen, and things of that nature. So it is what it is, but I did enjoy that. I thought that it was worth it. And I want to say that Frieza is a scumbag, but Frieza's also quietly been one of the best written characters in Super. So I do like that too. Frieza's awesome, but he's still a scumbag because he waited until CABBA was out of power and he gets eliminated. CABBA gets eliminated. Ah, man, but at least they gave CABBA his last little moment and his dialogue with Vegeta. And also, I didn't really talk about it, but we find out that Vegeta's like, hey, Saiyans are going to live on. I will wish you guys back when I win this tournament. Of course, we also find out that Frieza wants to control the gods. Now, I don't know if he means that literally. Like, I don't think he actually means I'm going to control the gods. Like, hey, Super Dragon Balls, allow me to control Zeno's mind. Like, I don't think that is exactly what he meant, but maybe he means to wish himself into a higher level of power, right? Just due to seniority, he'd be the most powerful or, you know, highest ranked god in existence, I guess. So maybe that's what he means, but I don't think that. It just kind of comes down to who Zerama is, to be honest. We never got context into that, kind of going back to me talking about plots that the show sets up, but never really, you know, pays off, because Zerama is not this Super Dragon. Like, Super Shenron is not Zerama. The Dragon Balls were created by Zerama, the Super Dragon Balls, and the Dragon Balls are said to be as powerful as their creator and be able to do things that their creator would ordinarily do. So, that being said, would that mean that the creator of the Super Dragon Balls would be stronger than, you know, the gods? And that's my only, like, idea with the concept that maybe Frieza would want to use the Dragon Balls to wish for there to be no Zeno, for example. You know, would that mean that the Dragon Balls are more powerful than Zeno to be able to grant a wish like that? Because we flat out seen regular Shenron say, hey, I can't do that, you know? So it's just a little bit like, yeah, we got to kind of figure out a little bit more about that. So I don't know exactly what Frieza wants to do. They just kind of teased. I don't really know if that's exactly what he wants to do word for word, but that remains to be seen, so we'll have to kind of bookmark that and come back to it. Also, Goku is still kind of just here, unable to fight, really, and he's just running around getting his butt kicked. And at the end of the episode, like I said, Caulifla does approach him. Now, I thought this was interesting because, I mean, the smart thing to do is to try to eliminate Goku while he is basically unable to fight back, right? He's unable to max out. He's unable to really go toe-to-toe with you if you're too strong for him right now while he's trying to recover. So I understand that, but it's like, yo, I don't really necessarily want Caulifla to try to go after Frieza, because I feel like Frieza would just body her, but I do want for her to try to be able to take out, like, for example, those robots. I don't know if those guys got eliminated. I didn't see the God Pad get pressed or anything like that, so it would have been cool if she would have just took the time to eliminate those guys. She kind of just knocks them away, but it does make sense if they don't want to just outright eliminate most of that universe right now. So again, I don't know if approaching Goku was the smart move, but really, you got this whole little, and the episode basically points it out at the end where it's like individual motives are being, you know, shown off here. You have this whole little Saiyan on Saiyan thing that's going on because the characters are well aware of each other. Goku is well aware, Vegeta was well aware that CABBA got eliminated. Vegeta was aware that CABBA was about to get eliminated the first time and was somehow there to save him and things of that nature. You have this whole Saiyan, you know, aside from Gohan, you have this whole Saiyan awareness. You haven't really seen Gohan interact with any Universe 6 Saiyans, really, or had any dialogue there. So maybe that'll happen in the future, but it would be cool. But, you know, it's just interesting to see the way that Caulifla decided to go with this. And like I said, next week we will see some of that happen in there. One little final thing that I thought was really funny was the way that Vegeta was like, hey, I want to go fight Jiren and see how the strongest is. And, you know, Toppo shows up out of nowhere. He's like, hey, fight me. He's like, oh, I have no interest in second fiddle. And Toppo was like, but aren't you second fiddle too? And it's funny because Toppo knows, like, and he doesn't actually care that he's not as strong as Jiren, which is fine. But Vegeta got so frustrated by that. Vegeta got freaking tilted. He was like, I'll show you second fiddle, you know? And I thought that was pretty cool. And something that's interesting too is the fact that Goku had to do that whole "I'm gonna show you what happens when I pass my limits" against Toppo, to be able to actually be stronger than him, because I think Toppo is about blue level. So as far as that goes, how strong is Vegeta necessarily? I'll have to go back and rewatch that, you know, the Goku versus Toppo kind of like rumble that they had. It wasn't like a serious fight, but the rumble that they had, because Toppo's been completely outclassed by some of these fighters in this tournament. For example, I think Hit would have bodied Toppo in all seriousness, especially towards the end there when he had progressed to the level that he could kind of stop time around Jiren and actually land a hit on Jiren. So it just kind of remains to be seen what happens there. But anyways, I hope that you guys did enjoy this review. Hope you guys had fun watching the episode. Like I said, I think it was a really good episode. I think that they've had like a nice run the last few weeks of good episodes. So anyways, let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy, guys.